Yeah, we're gonna be on. Don't worry about it.
Sound check 1 2. Sound check 1 2.
We don't do well after hours, okay? You only train them for the hours that are necessary. We will.
Thank you, sir. It's hot live.
It's live now. Can you hear me if I have it like this? Right here.
Yes.
It's just the light.
All right. This is funny how it is. So, good evening. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Can they hear me on the live stream? All right, good to go. So, good evening. I'm Dr. James Driscoll. I'm the superintendent here for TD3. And tonight we're going to talk about our transportation, in particular, our bus driver shortage. We'll be discussing this and alternative solutions to that. And I have with me some people from the district office who will be presenting with me. I have our Director of Safety and Transportation, Jessica Palmer, and I also have our Assistant Superintendent of Administrative Services, Michael Mangini, here with me today. Jessica and I will be answering your questions at the end of this presentation. And if you have additional feedback you would like to provide, please fill out a comment card that you have on your tables. And for those people online, you can actually type in to info@Tempe Schools, and we'll bring those questions up to us so we can answer those for you online as well. I would like to now introduce our Director of Transportation, Jessica Palmer, who will share more information and will answer any questions.
Thank you. Which button? Where do I click it? Just on my button? Just hold it? Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jessica Palmer. I am the Director of Transportation and School Safety for Tempe Elementary, obviously, and we're just going to talk about what happens, our challenges that we face every day. So, our current challenges is that we start every day with 10 drivers short. So we still have 10 buses that do not have drivers every day. And there's really no end in sight for this. This is a nationwide issue. It's not a TD3 issue. In addition, there's an average of about 8 daily absences on top of the 10 buses without drivers. And 9 out of our 10 office staff drive daily, including the director, which is me, the supervisor, and our chief safety officer. Buses can run late to and from school because we're covering additional routes. And right now we only have 30 minutes between our bell times, which really does not allow for much flexibility if we have to double up routes. In my opinion, buses we can't transport efficiently because there really isn't enough time. So these are the schools. This is our proposal that we're thinking about. Right now, Arredondo, you start at 9 o'clock. We're proposing that we start you at 7:50, and you would end at 2:50, and your current time is 4 o'clock. Early release would be 1 o'clock instead of the 2:10. We currently have 12 other schools that are on this particular bell time, all elementary schools. So we're really only moving 3. Arredondo, Carmenite, and Scales will be moving up to this same bell time as the other 12. In our middle school tier, we would just be shifting them 20 minutes later. So as you can see, their start time will be 8:40, and their current time is 8:20. The new end time would be 3:40 instead of 3:20, and then early release would be 1:50 to 1:30. How this will directly impact our department, we will obviously be able to run more efficient bus routes. This would be a solution to our ever-increasing driver shortage. Like I said before, it's a nationwide problem. This would allow for more flexibility. We would have 50 minutes return of bell times because we currently only have 30. And we would be able to create longer bus routes, which would be able to have one bus do actually one route. In addition, we would be able to eliminate 10 routes, and we would be saving fuel costs of $322 a day, which is almost $60,000 annually. And the driver cost savings would be $863 a day at $156,000 annually. So that's all I have. What questions? Who has questions? Okay, the first question is, will there be a vote? So right now we're just negotiating this. This is all discussing. This is just a proposal. We would take this to the board and the board would vote on this if we were to move forward. So it says for the 10 stops being taken off the routes, actually it's 10 buses. So it would be 10 buses. We would be eliminating 10 buses. So we wouldn't, those 10 that were already short, we wouldn't need to cover those with people in my office. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So what I would say is no decision has been made. One of the things as we talked to the school staff about was that we're looking at the safety of students. We've had schools this year and even last year where we have not been able to cover routes. And so I've last year sent home communication to certain schools saying, hey, sorry, you sent your student to school. We were unable to pick them up at our bus because due to the shortage. And so we're looking here for suggestions and solutions, but one of the possible solutions to this is that we change bell schedules. And that's a hard part. I always tell that for superintendent is looking at that because it's one of the things that impacts our schools and our community. We choose schools and times based what works on us and actually in the school that we like for our students. So we understand that, but we also understand that 60% of our students utilize transportation to get to and from school in our district. And so when we cannot safely say that we can get the students to school, that is an issue that we have to look at. Our governing board is great in that regard. We're bringing them all the possible solutions and suggestions that you guys give us in the feedback. ultimately they will make that decision. Our job is to make sure we give them all the information, both pro and con to each solution, so that they can make the best decision going forward of what we can do. And that could be, we keep at our current rate. And as I shared with staff earlier, is that there are going to be pros and cons to whatever solution that's made, whether we stay the same or whether we make a change. There are going to be positives and negatives, and we know that. We just want to make sure that we give our governing board all the information they can so they can make the best decision. What ultimately comes down what's in the best interest of all our students in our district. So again, I want to make sure people are clear. No decision has been made. Last year, if you look back in our governing board minutes and you can see the video, we brought this up last year as well. So this is not something that has just been a this year thing. This was happening last year. And there has been, and I'm looking at Jesse, no movement in that. We tried to recruit. We tried to look at our wages. We tried to market, and we're still in the same predicament that we were last year, which is we're short of staff. And that's a nationwide thing. It's not just a TD3 thing. Do we have another question? I can. Okay, so this question says, we went from 7:55 a.m. to 9 a.m., then now back to 7:50. So what are we doing as to those who work Kid Zone, and what happens to our/their hours to be used for their family in need of their services? So for us, I can speak for TD3. Kid Zone is actually run through the city of Tempe. And we would work in partnership with them to say, hey, if we make these changes, how would that impact you as well? And that will be one of the things we share to the governing board, is like what the city of Tempe says in terms of Kid Zone and how these adjusted hours would impact their delivery of service for our students. And so again, this is not, I want to just repeat, this has not been decided on. There's no decision that has been made. This is us coming to our community saying, hey, we have a shortage of bus drivers, and we can't honestly say that we can get our kids to and from school safely using our bus transportation because we're short drivers. We are one driver calling out sick from like not making routes. I mean, and we do that on a daily basis. And so I tasked our director to say, hey, look at our current reality. If we don't gain any bus drivers, how can we safely get our kids to school and back home utilizing transportation? Because 60% of our students utilize that to get to and from school. So this recommendation is our attempt to say, hey, this is one recommendation the governing board can consider. They might say no. They might say keep with our current way we're doing business, and that will be fine. But there will be consequences of that, which we would share with the governing board. Like, we might not be able to pick kids up on time. We might have to send home more letters to families saying, hey, you sent your kid in the morning to school, but we were unable to pick them up. And so now, as I had last year, parents saying, what do I do? Like, I'm at work. I left, my kid walked to the bus stop, and there's nobody there. And so that is the reality of what we're facing in this. There is no great solution. Now, if we get a whole influx of bus drivers in, then we have to do nothing, and I'd be the happiest person in the world because I wouldn't have to have this conversation. And so we're going to continue to do that, and we're going to continue to recruit and try. But at the end of the day, if nothing changes, we have difficult decisions to make, and there's no right solution. So I'm going to tell you, like, there is no. Here's the consequences for each decision that we make, and what can we do to ensure that our students get to school safely? So, are there any questions on the? This one says, I noticed the pay about 17 to 18 bucks an hour for a bus driver. That is not enough compensation in this environment and economy to make a livable wage. Will that be addressed? We looked at that, and we actually did a salary compensation study. Our salaries are on range. I would tell you, in the state of Texas, I talked to a superintendent there, and they raised their bus driver wages up to 30 bucks an hour, and they still cannot fill. It is a national thing. One of the things we do that I think we need to do even more job is we give our bus drivers benefits. We actually, if you do not have a CDL, and I'm looking at Jesse, if you do not have the CDL to drive, we actually provide that for you and pay for you to get the CDL so you can drive buses. Now, what happens is once you get that CDL, you can drive for Walmart and all that. So we look at that as well. Every district around us, if you go and just watch, you see bus drivers want it. So it is not just a TD3 problem, and we can increase it to 30, $40. We might. But what we're seeing is that even with the compensation, people are still not coming. And I don't know if I knew the magic solution to do that, we would do it in a heartbeat. But we're all experiencing it, and I just don't know. I before the pandemic, we had abundance of people. After the pandemic, we're looking and not just bus drivers throughout our whole district. We're looking for people, and I don't know where they went. I'm like, how did we have all these people working, and then all of a sudden nobody's? I don't know, but yeah, we constantly look at that, and we will constantly try to be as competitive as possible with our wages and our hourly rates. And if that works, we looked at it in the compensation study to make sure, hey, are we paying too less? And we need to raise it up. But in our compensation study, bus drivers didn't come. It didn't come. We were pretty much competitive with everybody around us as well. Any others from online? This is a good one. So it says, during summer vacation, is there going to be any work for bus drivers, and how many hours a day do bus drivers work? So I'm going to turn this over. I don't really know that answer to that off the top of my head.
Yes, that's a great question. We actually we drive for summer school, so we have summer school options. We also, our summer's a little bit shorter now, but we do a lot of bus cleaning. If you're interested in bus waxing, we wax our buses. So we always have plenty of work for those that are interested in coming over. So yes, we have work during the summer. Does that answer your question?
And there's another question of how many hours does the bus driver work a day?
Typically, the question was how many hours does a bus driver work? So, and during a normal school year, you're guaranteed 5 hours. That gives you full free benefits, like Dr. Driscoll had indicated. But I don't think any of our drivers work 5 hours because we're always asking for extra duty, field trips, sports shuttles, all of that. So if you want to work 8 hours, we'll let you work 8 hours. So sky's the limit.
Thank you.
Sure. You want to come over and drive a bus? You look like you need to drive a bus, huh?
So where do you apply? Not for me.
You can apply on tempeschools.org, and in the right-hand corner, there's a red tab that says employment. Just click on that and get you right in. Or you can call. Yeah, we'd love to have you, or anybody. Anybody. Are there any other questions, Gabby? No?
Well, I thank you, those attending online and those that came here in person. Again, I just want to reiterate, no decision has been made. And so this is us coming out saying, hey, we have a problem, and it hasn't went away. And if we don't address it, we're going to have consequences for our students. And so at the end of the day, all we're saying is here we need some solutions to a problem that we have, and that's to safely get our students to and from school. And like I said before, about 60% of our students utilize our transportation. So the governing board, they will have a meeting and we will post it like we always do. And I will share all of the feedback that we get from these comment cards and from these presentations so they can make a decision. Again, no decision has been made. And the decision might be we stay the course that what we're doing. And we understand that. And the decision might be that, hey, we look at another alternative way. But our job is to make sure that we provide our governing board with all the information so they can make the best possible decision for our district in that regard. And we will, as a superintendent, I will execute whatever they tell us to do to the best of my ability to make sure we keep our kids safe. So I don't want you to run out of here and say, they're changing. But no, that is not. This is us coming to you saying, hey, we have a transportation shortage. And one solution that we have that can eliminate us not needing the bus drivers to work with our current reality with the bus drivers we have to ensure that our students get here safe is to adjust our bail times. that is the nuts of this presentation, is just that this is one possible solution. It is not the solution. It is one. We will meet with every school that will be impacted by this and get their feedback. And then we will give a presentation to the board of like, here's the recommendations that we have. Here are all the possible solutions. Here's what our community says. Here are all the community comments and cards. And this is the recommendation. And ultimately they will make a decision based off of that. Okay. So I thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to come and listen to me talk on this microphone like this. And I really appreciate you. Again, if you have any comments, we have info@tempeschools.org. So if you wanted to say, or you get home and you say, hey, I forgot to ask this question, you can email us there. All of the feedback we get, we will share with the board so they have that information as well. We're just looking for solutions. So thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. And thank you for choosing TD3. And if you're listening out there and you want to be a bus driver, we are accepting you. So we will take you. TempeSchools.org, top right corner employment. Come work for us. We would love to have you. So thank you so much.